Hi, this is Jessica with Embodied Collective with Jessica. I'm so glad that you're here. It's taken me a couple weeks to get back at it, but here I am, and I'm excited to share with you this new video. So I'm a mind-body eating coach, and what that entails is empowering people to heal their relationship with food and their body. A lot of that is education and diving deep into where our toxic nutritional beliefs come from. And a lot of it is learning how to trust our body again, trust our body's signals, and accept our body's wisdom. How to eat intuitively and mindfully is difficult enough as it is. We have a lot of messaging from the outside world telling us that all we need to do is control our body and control our cravings, and then we will never have to worry about sugar or carbs or whatever your forbidden food is. But the reality is that intuitive eating and mindful eating does not happen when we try to continue to control our body. In fact, it comes when we release that control and find the wisdom in our unwanted eating patterns, toxic nutritional beliefs, and the wisdom in our own body. Intuitive eating is powerful for a couple of reasons. So when we restrict our food from entire food groups like fruit, or when we have toxic nutritional beliefs around food, we become obsessive about that forbidden food. And there are a couple of reasons for this. One is that it's kind of human nature. If I tell you not to think of the color yellow, that's all you're going to think about. And there is a real physical, biological reason for obsessing about that forbidden food, and that is because we are most likely nutritionally deficient. So when we allow ourselves to open up to all foods, when we practice intuitive eating, and we are able to have whatever we want, whenever we want it, food starts to lose its power over us. Those things that were once forbidden no longer really hold power over us. So this concept is difficult enough as it is, but what do we do when we have food allergies, food sensitivities, or if for medical reasons we have to be limiting some foods that we eat? So I understand how difficult this can be because this is a journey that I have gone through recently. And it can bring up a lot of issues that we may have around food. And so I want to talk about that today. So in order to talk about it, I want to share a little bit about my journey so you understand where I'm coming from. So I struggled with an eating disorder in college and after college, and I overcame that and was in recovery after years of individual and group therapy. I really started to get in my body a lot later through my recovery when I found yoga and meditation and mindfulness techniques. That really kind of took my recovery to a whole new level. And ever since then, I have been using that mindfulness and yoga to empower other people to heal their relationship with their body. And so obviously when I was struggling with an eating disorder, I dealt with a lot of restrictions and a lot of toxic nutritional beliefs. So a lot of beliefs that like all carbs are bad, or gaining weight means that I will be unlovable. That's what I mean when I talk about toxic nutritional beliefs. And so I restricted my food a lot. When I was in recovery, I practiced mindful eating and intuitive. So I had spent many years in my recovery really trying to get in touch with my body and practicing intuitive eating, and it was so powerful for me. But then I realized that I also had been experiencing a lot of chronic pain, and it really wasn't normal. I had convinced myself that it was normal and that everyone felt this way, but really the truth was my intuition was speaking to me, and I knew that there was something more that needed to be explored. So it took me many years and a few doctors to get someone to actually listen to me and to pursue what ended up being an endometriosis diagnosis. So earlier this year, I finally spoke with a female doctor who believed me enough to perform a laparoscopic surgery, which is the only way that you can truly have a confirmation diagnosis of endometriosis. And sure enough, that's what she found when she went in. So now what I'm processing is the fact that I am not able to eat all foods. Because endometriosis is an inflammatory disease, research is potentially moving in the direction of it being an autoimmune disease, although that is not confirmed. But we do know that it's an inflammatory disease and it's a chronic disease. So I will have this for the rest of my life. So now it comes down to navigating how do I work with my food and what I put in my body to not cure. I can't cure my endo, but I can keep my inflammation down. That can really help my quality of life, and that can keep the flare-ups from being as severe as they once were. So the general rules for bringing down inflammation and chronic inflammation, and general rules of what they call an endometriosis diet would be cutting out things like gluten, soy, dairy, sugar. All of these things will keep my body in a state of low inflammation, anti-inflammatory diet. But the question becomes, how do we manage intuitive eating when we're dealing with these types of issues? There are a lot of other clients who may not be able to eat gluten or dairy for lots of other reasons. But specifically, I want to talk about how do we deal with this when we have medical reasons why we cannot have certain foods. This adds an extra level of difficulty, an extra level of kind of emotional trauma based on like past medical procedures and our past potential toxic nutritional beliefs when it comes to food and our relationship with our body. So now intuitive eating from the original definition, with everything being available to us, it's not that easy. And I'll be honest, for months after my diagnosis, I knew what I needed to be doing to change what I was putting in my body, to reduce my chronic inflammation, and to start to allow my body to heal. But I really held back from that. I really rebelled because having someone else tell me that I could not eat a food or a type of food anymore really was triggering to me. And it was really bringing back memories of restricting food. And a part of me, I think, was really afraid to start to restrict in that way because I was really afraid that potentially I could fall back into some old patterns. So how do we manage this? And I would love to post some new recipes that I've been playing with as well, as I've been kind of navigating this new world of, some food limitations. So I think that in this day and age, I'm actually pretty blessed because we have a lot of alternatives, a lot of gluten-free, dairy-free alternatives, things that will satisfy my carb craving, things that will satisfy my sweet tooth, and most of all, things that still have all of the nutrients that I need when I may have those types of cravings. So maybe if I need some energy, those things are there to satisfy a sweet tooth, or if I need some more fiber, those things are there as well to satisfy those types of cravings. The other thing that's really helpful is being prepared. So having on hand a variety of options in the event that a craving hits. So whether that's having different options at your desk at work or at home in your kitchen. All of those are great options. I've been making like little energy balls that kind of satisfy my sweet tooth, but they also have protein, and they don't have any dairy or gluten in them. And I look forward to sharing some of these recipes with you too as I've been experimenting. But making sure that all of those things are available to me, because I've really found that when I do have a craving and I'm not prepared, that's when I really get frustrated, and that gap between where I was or where I thought I was with intuitive eating to maybe now what I feel like is restricted to me, that gap gets bigger and bigger, and then I get really frustrated. The other thing that I do when I have cravings is to check in with my body. My body has infinite wisdom, and I trust in it. I know that my body always has my highest and greatest good in mind. So I always like to check in when I do have a craving and ask if my craving is coming from a state of physical hunger or emotional hunger. And there are a couple things to keep in mind here. One is that all of our cravings, all of our hunger will always be a component of both things. We never have 100% emotional hunger, and we never have 100% physical hunger. It's always a combination. It's just a matter of which one outweighs the other. The other thing is one is not better than the other. So it's simply a check-in. Where is this hunger coming from? Is this physical or is this emotional? And then, do I want to proceed with eating? To be honest with you, most of the time is yes, but it's coming from that place of curiosity and acknowledging where that hunger and where that craving is coming from. And the other thing I have to keep reminding myself is that by removing these foods, I am working to heal my body. This is a form of self-care. I'm practicing a form of self-care every day by choosing to eat anti-inflammatory foods. It's taking me one step closer to feeling back to normal. And I also try to be really gentle with myself, not to get too hard on myself, which is really difficult, and I understand that. When I do get a flare-up and I do have pain, I just remind myself that I have a chronic illness. That means when I'm happy, I'm in pain. And when I'm sad, I'm in pain. And some days are easier than others, but the common thread here is that I'm always in some level of pain. But now I have an answer. Now I have a label to it. And that gives me a sense of power. That empowers me to make these types of decisions. But when I do have a flare-up and when that pain really does get to be too much, I give myself permission now to rest and to take what my body needs. I hope that you found this helpful. If you are a fellow endo warrior, or if you have a chronic illness that you're managing with what you're putting in your body, I would love to hear from you. Let me know how you manage that, maybe some recipes that you've really found to be delicious and helpful, maybe when you have a flare-up, nice and comforting. So I'm so glad that you were here. I will talk to you soon. Bye.